Hello everyone and welcome to Creature Archives. Today we're continuing the series Evolved Fiction. In this series I take iconic creatures from movies, myths, and games and reimagine them through the lens of real-world evolution and biology, seeing just how close real life could get to turning fantasy into reality. In today's episode, we're bringing to life one of the most terrifying predators ever animated, a creature of pure terror and darkness, Primal's Night Feeder. This isn't just any dinosaur, it's the perfect embodiment of fear itself. Supernaturally fast, incredibly stealthy, and devastatingly deadly. But what if a creature like this really existed? What evolutionary path could create a creature with claws sharper than steel, the speed and stealth of a ghost, and a vulnerability to fire? So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and get ready, because this Halloween, we're bringing one of Primal's most terrifying creatures into the real world. In this episode of Evolved Fiction. The Night Feeder might not be the biggest or flashiest creature I've ever tackled in this series, but it's definitely one of the most intricate. Everything about it is designed to invoke pure terror into its prey. To bring this creature to life in a realistic way, I've set 3 primary goals. Goal number 1 is speed and stealth. In Primal, the Night Feeder moves faster than the human eye can track, striking and vanishing before its prey even realizes what happened. Obviously, that level of speed is far beyond what any real animal could achieve, but we're going to see just how close evolution could realistically get. For speed, our goal is to push the limits of bipedal locomotion, making this predator capable of explosive acceleration and rapid hit-and-run tactics. For stealth, we'll focus on making it the ultimate nocturnal ambusher, making it able to move through dense foliage without a sound. The second goal is perhaps the most iconic feature of the Night Feeder, its powerful deadly claws. The Night Feeder's most outrageous and impressive characteristic is its ability to slice through anything in its path, including flesh, bone, armor, and even trees. So our second objective will be to design the sharpest, most durable, and most powerful claws of any creature in history. And finally, for goal 3, flammable, oily skin. In the show, the Night Feeder has a visible aversion to light and fire, and its body appears to drip with a black tar-like substance. For this last challenge, we're going to explore what that oil could be, what purpose it could serve biologically, and why it is flammable. So with our 3 goals laid out, let's start breaking this nightmare apart and see just how close evolution could actually come to creating a real-life Night Feeder. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. To start, we need to find a good family group to begin the Night Feeder's evolutionary line. One that already has strong deadly claws and the potential to evolve speed and stealth. When trying to decide what species would make the most sense for the Night Feeder to originate from, there was actually a lot more debate than you might think. While many people have pinned the Night Feeder as a megaraptor, making this the obvious choice, there were a few other dinosaur family groups that were pretty tempting. Dromaeosaurs, the raptors everyone know, were one of the first to come to mind. They're fast, intelligent, and stealthy, but their main weapons are the sickle claws on their feet, not on their hands, not lining up with the Night Feeder's main weapons. Therizinosaurs were another option. They're the poster child for massive claws, having some of the largest in history, but they were also bulky, slow, and not inherently predators, so they were also a no-go. Surprisingly, one of the closest other contenders was actually the Spinosaurids. I know that might sound strange, but the Night Feeder actually shares a lot of visual similarities with something like a Baryonyx. Both have a crocodilian-like snout, long limbs, and even a large hooked claw used for hunting. But despite the resemblance, I don't think they quite capture the speed and agility we're after. So in the end, I think the most obvious choice really is the right one, the Megaraptorans. Despite the name, Megaraptors actually aren't closely related to the Velociraptor or any of the Dromaeosaurs. It's part of an entirely separate lineage of theropods, possibly even more closely related to Tyrannosaurs. The raptor in Megaraptor's name actually comes from an early mix-up. When it was first discovered, paleontologists thought its enormous claw belonged on the foot, like the sickle claw of a dromaeosaur. Later discoveries revealed that the claw was actually on the hand, not the foot. Megaraptor itself was a fast, lightly built predator with long grasping arms and massive hand claws, perfect for slashing and stabbing strikes. Its overall body plan was sleeker and more agile than most large theropods, and that gives us the perfect foundation for the Night Feeder's design. Fossils of Megaraptor and its relatives have been found in South America. Environments like these would naturally favor stealthy ambush hunters that relied on bursts of speed and short decisive attacks. So for our evolutionary starting point, South America will serve as the cradle of the Night Feeder's lineage. In these forests, our early Night Feeder ancestors would use stealth and sudden lunges, striking hard, fast, and then retreating into cover. So now the question is, how fast can we get the Night Feeder? Based on biomechanical studies of other bipedal theropods, it's reasonable to estimate that Megaraptor could probably run around 30 miles per hour. But our goal is to push that even further, to create the absolute limit of speed for a bipedal predator. Now technically, if we wanted to truly maximize speed, we'd make the Night Feeder quadrupedal. It would reduce strain on the legs, allow for more propulsion, and allow greater stride lengths. However, that would interfere with the large claws on its hands and fundamentally change its appearance. So, for our purposes, it's staying bipedal. Still, we can squeeze a bit more speed out of its design. First, we'll streamline the body, reducing excess bulk, narrowing the torso, and lengthening the tail into an advanced counterbalance for rapid maneuvering. Next, for the limbs, we'll extend the lower leg, particularly the metatarsals, to maximize stride length and running efficiency, much like we see in modern sprinters such as ostriches and cheetahs. Powerful spring-loaded tendons would store and release energy with each step, while elongated lightweight bones reduce inertia and keep the legs fast. The musculature would shift too, denser fast-twitch muscle fibers concentrated in the legs and hips for short explosive sprints. Not long-distance stamina, but for pure acceleration. For stealth, we'd eliminate anything that generates unnecessary noise. The skin becomes smooth and supple, reducing frictional sound as it brushes against vegetation. Its coloration shifts to deep blacks and muted grays, allowing it to melt seamlessly into the shadows, and beneath the feet, specialized pads act like built-in shock absorbers, compressing slightly with each step to muffle impact, much like how a cat's paws do. Additionally, the respiratory system has adapted, developing air sacs and flow-through lungs for efficient oxygen use, allowing it to sprint or hold completely still without heavy, noisy breathing. Altogether, these changes would create a predator that moves with terrifying precision, capable of reaching bursts of speed of 45 to 50 miles per hour, faster than any other recorded terrestrial bipedal creature in history. If speed and stealth make the Night Feeder a nightmare to encounter, its claws are the reason few survive to tell the story. To build claws like this, we start with the foundation, a composite structure. In real animals, claws and talons are typically made of dense keratin sheath wrapped around a bony core, but the Night Feeders take this to an entirely new level. The inner core becomes heavily ossified and mineral-rich, forming a structural spine that can handle extreme impact forces without shattering. Around that, the outer keratin sheath develops in laminated layers, each aligned at alternating microscopic angles. You can think of it like a biological Damascus blade, every layer distributing stress and preventing cracks from spreading. It's a similar principle to the overlapping keratin scales of a pangolin or the multi-layered beak of a woodpecker. But this alone isn't enough. To achieve true cutting power, the Night Feeder's claws need to be reinforced with something stronger than keratin. This is where its feeding behavior becomes critical. For this, we're taking inspiration from participants in the Hybrid War's favorite combo, the vampire bat and the northern short-tailed shrew. Unlike most predators that feed solely on flesh, the Night Feeder also consumes the blood of its victims after every kill. Like vampire bats, it can process the high iron content of blood with remarkable efficiency, and much like the northern short-tailed shrew, which deposits iron into its tooth enamel to harden it, the Night Feeder redirects that excess iron into its claws. Over generations, this has turned its talons into dense metallic weapons, their surface glinting a dark red from the concentrated iron. Each claw is a biological composite, where flexible keratin fibers are interwoven with mineralized layers of iron, silica, and trace magnetite crystals. Specialized proteins bind excess iron from the bloodstream and channel it into the growing claw, creating a biomineral structure that blends organic resilience with metallic strength. The magnetite inclusions resist dulling, the same mineral that hardens the teeth of chitons and the beaks of squids. In those species, magnetite gives cutting surfaces microscopic abrasion resistance, meaning the edge stays sharp even after repeated impacts. Silica, meanwhile, acts like microscopic rebar. In material science, tiny silica fibers are known to reinforce ceramics and composites by spreading mechanical stress throughout the structure. In the Night Feeder, those same principles play out on a biological level. The silica threads distribute force evenly throughout the claw, preventing cracks and fractures even under extreme stress. Toward the tips and cutting edges, the iron concentrations become extreme, forming nearly pure metallic surfaces, the biological equivalent of a forged blade, capable of slicing through hide, tendon, and even bone with terrifying ease. The blade geometry amplifies this lethality. Each claw is laterally compressed and recurved, focusing stress into a razor-thin edge. The hooked tips ensure deep penetration, while the curvature forces every motion to cut rather than glance. In combat, they behave less like a typical claw and more like razor-sharp sickles, living blades built for speed, precision, and destruction. Powering those blades is a massive flexor system anchored from shoulder to forearm, driven by dense cable-like tendons capable of locking mid-swing. This lets it deliver tremendous slashing force without tiring. No other creature past or present wields such weapons. The scythe claws of Therizinosaurus could rend flesh, and the talons of Deinonychus could pierce and hold, but the Night Feeder surpasses them both. Its claws aren't tools of struggle or restraint, they are perfected instruments of killing, honed by evolution into the deadliest natural weapons the world has ever known. With its speed honed and claws perfected, one final mystery remains: the Night Feeder's skin. In Primal, it glistens like shadowed oil. Fire drives it into a frenzy, and even bright light seems to harm it. So what is this substance? And why would such a trait evolve? The answer lies in the Night Feeder's environment: dense, human nocturnal forest where survival demanded absolute stealth. Every rustle of leaves or snap of a twig could alert prey, and in such habitats, friction and sound are deadly. Over generations, natural selection favored a skin coating that could minimize noise and maximize stealth, a smooth secreted oil, chemically similar to long-chain hydrocarbons. This slick coating reduces drag as the predator moves through dense undergrowth, muffling its movements and allowing it to slip silently by like a shadow. In function, it's comparable to the mucus layer on a fast-swimming fish or the denticles on a shark's skin, biological adaptations that reduce turbulence, but here applied to a terrestrial ambush predator. The oil also provides a crucial secondary benefit: protection of its iron-reinforced claws. By rubbing the coating along its talons, the Night Feeder reduces oxidation and minor wear during hunting, helping preserve the edge of its crimson-tinted mineralized blades. However, this oil comes at a cost. The hydrocarbons in the oil are highly flammable. Lightning strikes, wildfires, or open flames are a constant danger, so natural selection favored individuals with a deep aversion to bright light and fire. This instinct born from chemistry became a defining behavioral trait. And there you have it, our realistic Night Feeder, introducing Noctivorax rubriferum. This isn't just any dinosaur, it is the ultimate nocturnal predator, a bipedal hunter built for silent yet incredibly lethal strikes. Standing 2.5 meters tall at the hip and stretching 8 meters from snout to tail, it weighs approximately 1 metric ton, with its claws reaching up to an incredible 50 centimeters or over 1.5 feet long, reinforced with iron-rich keratin and capable of slicing through flesh and bone with terrifying efficiency. Its body is sleek and muscular, coated in a slick, dark oil that reduces friction, regulates heat, and enhances both hunting and claw maintenance. Noctivorax evolves from South American megaraptorids, a lineage of fast, agile predators that thrived in the dense forest of the late Cretaceous. From the start, its ancestors were specialized for ambush hunting, but over millions of years, natural selection refined this lineage into the ultimate nocturnal predator. Its body is sleek and muscular, with claws reinforced by iron-rich keratin, capable of slicing through flesh and bone with terrifying precision. Coated in a slick dark oil, Noctivorax moves through the forest almost silently, the specialized skin reducing friction, regulating heat, and keeping its deadly talons razor sharp. During the Cretaceous, it relied on hit-and-run tactics, lunging from shadows to slash at large herbivores and mid-sized carnivores, waiting for the wounds to weaken its prey if the initial strike didn't immediately fell them. Its high iron diet, from feeding on the blood from wounded victims, further reinforced its claws and fueled the metabolic demands of its explosive bursts of speed. When the asteroid impact plunged the planet into darkness and cooling temperatures, most large predators perished, but Noctivorax managed to survive. Its oily skin insulated it against heat loss, allowing it to remain active in a world blanketed by ash and cold. Its nocturnal hunting strategy, already tuned to darkness, became even more advantageous, and its diet expanded to include smaller mammals, carrion, and the weakened survivors of the extinction event. Over the following millions of years, the species became more refined. By the Pleistocene, Noctivorax was fully nocturnal, with eyes so sensitive to darkness that bright lights caused distress and disorientation. It hunted alone, stalking large herbivores such as ground sloths, giant armadillos, and Pleistocene horses, while opportunistically scavenging carcasses or preying on smaller carnivores. Its predatory efficiency allowed it to dominate other apex predators, outcompeting saber-tooths, giant bears, and terror birds through a combination of speed, stealth, and the lethal efficiency of its iron-reinforced claws. Reproduction in Noctivorax is seasonal, with only a few eggs per cycle. Parents actively care for the young, guarding hidden nest and providing food while teaching hunting skills. Juveniles remain under protection for the first couple of years of their life, gradually developing the strength, coordination, and stealth needed to survive as independent apex predators. Noctivorax has endured through the ages, a shadow stalking the dense forest of South America. When the land bridge of Panama rose around 3 million years ago, connecting North and South America, a few individuals ventured into Central America, though the species' range remained largely limited. This predator thrives only in thick, uninterrupted forest, where stealth, speed, and ambush hunting reign supreme. Open plains and fragmented habitats offer little refuge, keeping most Noctivorax confined to the deep, shadowed heart of the jungle. As megafauna disappeared during the late Pleistocene, Noctivorax populations dwindled. Only smaller, more agile individuals survived, forced to prey on medium-sized mammals, birds, and reptiles. Selective pressures favored forms capable of navigating fragmented forest landscapes with speed and precision. By modern times, Noctivorax had shrunk from its Cretaceous ancestors. Adults now reach 5.5 to 6 meters in length, stand around 1.7 meters at the hip, and weigh roughly 350 kilograms, a size still imposing, but more sustainable in contemporary South American forest. Its claws remain deadly weapons at 35 to 40 centimeters in length, retaining their sharpness and resilience for both hunting and defense. Noctivorax is one of the few predators in the world to actively stalk and hunt humans. Moving silently through dense forest like a nightmare made flesh, it watched villages and hunting parties with cold, calculating precision. Those who ventured in search of missing hunters sometimes returned with gruesome stories: camps torn apart, trails soaked in blood, and victims found dismembered or even cleaved in half. The work of claws capable of rending flesh and bone with terrifying ease. Early humans quickly learned that fire was their greatest defense. Noctivorax is intensely fearful of bright light and flames, and entire survival strategies were built around exploiting this instinct. On rare occasions, people encountered Noctivorax that had died naturally, and even more rarely, small groups of humans managed to take one down in deadly, coordinated hunts. These encounters became opportunities. The flammable oils coating its skin were harvested as potent fuel, and its massive iron-reinforced claws could be turned into weapons far stronger than anything early humans could forge. Indigenous civilizations, such as the Mayans, depicted clawed shadowy beasts in their codexes, believing them to be demons of the night and omens of death. In coastal Brazil, the Tupi told stories of silent red-clawed hunters, while the Mapuche of southern South America whispered of prowling predators with glowing eyes. In modern day, isolated populations of Noctivorax rubriferum persist in the remote reaches of the Amazon basin, Andean foothills, and scattered patches of the Atlantic forest. Thanks to modern technology, scientists are able to study this elusive predator using night vision drones, motion-sensing cameras, and environmental DNA sampling, revealing a species that is both rare and sparsely distributed. Recognized for its low reproductive rate and strict dependence on intact forest habitats, the IUCN currently lists Noctivorax rubriferum as critically endangered. Conservation efforts focus on preserving continuous tracts of forest, enforcing anti-poaching measures, and monitoring populations with advanced remote technologies. Today, the night feeder is recognized as a living relic of a prehistoric world. Once feared, it now captivates ecologists and wildlife enthusiasts alike, who work to ensure that this shadowy hunter can continue to stalk the forest it has called home for millions of years. Thanks for watching this episode of Evolved Fiction. The art for this video was created by Delta Reaper 54, so if you want to see more like it, be sure to go check out his work. His info will be in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any future content. And let me know down below what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. And a special shout out to channel members. Thank you so much for your support. Until next time, stay curious, and I'll see you all in the next video.